Mute your microphones during the guest lecture for the duration of the session. Any questions and inquiries that you might have, we kindly implore you to write it down for the Q&A segment.
Now, without further ado, please allow us to introduce our speaker for today, Ms. Games Panprakrong, who works at the senior manager of Cornerstone Recruitment, Japan's IT division. As the co-founder, she aided in building Cornerstone Recruitment Japan from scratch with no resources except people, connections. Today, it is the fastest growing recruitment company in Japan. Please refer to her as Miss Games. She'll be speaking on the topic of the power of networking.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Miss Games. We wish you the sincerest welcome. Miss Games, we kindly request you to start sharing your materials.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful introduction. So I really appreciate that. Let's see. Let me try to share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, do you see my PowerPoint presentation? Can everyone see it? Hello?
We can see it, but there is some of the Zoom overlay on it. Oh, okay, it's gone now. We can see it fully now.
Okay, so you see it on full screen?
It is currently not full screen. It's just in the slideshow tab.
What about now?
Yep, it's full screen. It does still have some Zoom logos though, I believe, like the cameras and like the mute button and such.
Okay, what about now?
Yep, now you're perfect.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Sure, so let me get started. So the subject I chose today to talk to you about is about the power of networking. The reason I chose this topic is because I do believe, I assuming you're all students or about to graduate. So when it comes to networking, it is a skill that is not so commonly practiced in your studies, if at all, or it might be something that you have already started doing, whether it's subconscious or consciously. I really think that if you are a good networker, it is really a valuable tool for you, whether you're a student or you're going to do your job search or you want to advance in your career. And as it was for me, it has really been, like was mentioned in the introduction, a valuable tool for me when I set up my business. So before I start getting deeply into the topic, I will just, I'd like to give you an introduction about myself and my background, so you have a better understanding of how I started, where I come from, and how I got to this point. So about myself, so my name is Games and I am a co-founder and currently senior manager at a startup recruitment company in Tokyo called Cornerstone Recruitment Japan. Maybe some of you have already heard about us, as well, not I, but our company have hired quite a few people from APU and Ditsumekan and other universities across Japan. So we have started to hire new grads as well. And yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I hope you will find this session of value. So for skills in networking, I am linking this topic to my work experience in Japan to give you a real life example of how it has been useful for me. And so hopefully you will enjoy it. So for my personal background, in short, I was born in Thailand to Thai parents, but I moved to Sweden when I was around 3 years old. I lived there until my early 20s with my mom and her Swedish husband. So my connection with Japan is zero. I have no relatives in Japan. I had no friends, nothing. But I always wanted to live overseas. So I entered a university in the UK. for my bachelor's degree and completed a degree in Asia-Pacific relations with focus on history and politics in the APAC region. So this including Japan, China, North Korea, South Korea, the United States involvement in the region, and partially Southeast Asia and Australia as well. Upon completing my degree, I had no clear plans in my own future, but rather I actually lived life very spontaneously. So after graduation, I spent 2 years in Australia, just traveling, doing work, working holiday, working part-time jobs in retail, restaurant jobs, door-to-door sales, and all that stuff. So it was not until my visa in Australia expired that I decided to venture to Japan, partly because I didn't want my degree to go to waste, and because I already had a network of friends here from my time in university. So I figured moving to Japan would at least, bring me some sort of social connections to start with, so I wouldn't feel completely alone coming here. This was around end of 2017. And honestly speaking, I was still living life very spontaneously, no plans on what I was going to do other than I wanting to improving my Japanese and maybe staying here for 2 years until I go back home to Sweden. So around this time, I made an effort to meet as many people as possible, not just to make friends, but to also make connections with people who were already working here, and for me to get a better idea of what can I do in Japan. I met a newbie recruiter at the time who recommended I apply for jobs in recruitment purely based on my personality, which from his impression was that, I'm quite strong-willed, goal-driven, and I wanted to seek something that offers a long-term career path. So yeah, truthfully speaking, I was not looking for a job in recruitment, but rather I found an option that sounded like something realistic for me to pursue and to start my career here in Japan. So around 2018, in spring 2018, I started my first recruitment job. And this was at a time when I had no particular hard skills. Of course, I had some soft skills from living overseas and traveling Australia. But other than that, there was no real skills I had. But I was able to learn the basics of recruitment, which is a very unique job in the first place, where relationship building skills are extremely important to be successful. And after about a year and a half, I found myself in a place where I could confidently say that I actually had skills to contribute to wherever I was working or to where I was going next. So today in present time, I am now senior manager, and managing both experienced and inexperienced rookie recruiters at Cornerstone Recruitment, teaching them the importance of networking and relationship building skills. To link back to my introduction, this subject will focus not on my job as recruiter, but using my career experience as a real life example. But I want to emphasize on the advantages of networking and how it can contribute to you in your career, whether it's in recruitment or general career advancement and your self-confidence. So when you're working as a recruiter, if you are on a recruitment agency side, you might have heard of companies like Michael Page, Robert Walters, Hayes, and Cornerstone Recruitment. We are all agency recruiters. So essentially, you are working to find candidates to fill positions for your clients or you're trying to find new clients. And if you are a really skillful recruiter, you should know your candidates, you should know your clients, and you should be able to build a network. And if done consistently over a longer period of time, it will generate business to you. And also improving your reputation on the market. So the connection between networking and success is quite strong, but does not only apply in recruitment, of course. Successful entrepreneurs, investors, sales and marketing jobs, social media influencers, they all need to network in order to, contribute to finding ways to open the doors to expand their companies, products and branding. So to begin with my first slide, just how do you even start? And it can be so simple. You can start on a local level, which means you connect with friends, families, colleagues or alumni or your fellow students, and just get inspiration or, how did you get this job? Do you know someone? How can I get in? What was your way of doing it? The way I started my recruitment job, like I mentioned, I met a recruiter who I became friends with, and he introduced me to the concept of recruitment. And because he had interviewed with other companies before, he knew about the inside information, you know, the working culture, the targets, what you might expect, how you should prepare to pass the interviews, and so on. So local level, it's very easy. Everyone knows a friend who got a job through their father or whatever. I'm sure someone knows someone like that. And there's other things like, you know, you can make connections through your hobbies, conventions, embassy events of your countries, any, you know, student events, and simple things, you know, like physical information on information boards with pamphlets displaying news and so on. National level, of course, maybe you're not all in Tokyo, but Tokyo is obviously the hub in Japan. So even making an effort to go to different cities to attend meetups, events, conventions might help you and get you introduced to people you otherwise would not meet in your local area. And then on a global level, we are very lucky to be living in modern times where everything is connected. You got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got LinkedIn. There's plenty of networking events that are done online right now, including this one. So we definitely have, you know, really good resources to use to get us connected to people who are nowhere near us, but are able to get our names and our profiles out there. When I started my first recruitment job in Japan, I connected with a lot of candidates and clients through LinkedIn with both short-term and long-term purpose. So I was always open for a casual conversation rather than only speaking to somebody for an immediate purpose. So using online resources such as LinkedIn and job boards like CareerCross and DieJob, I was able to connect with a lot of people. And there have been multiple cases in my career where I connect to somebody one year and I'm not able to support them that year, but I'm able to support them next year because something else comes up that is exactly matching to what they want and what the client wants. And likewise, I might be working with a client that doesn't have a job for me to work on in 2021, but suddenly in 2022, they do. So even if the start seems really slow, you're talking to someone, you think, you know, why did I spend 5 minutes talking to this person? There's nothing to give to him or her and nothing for him or her to give to me. But you have to also think in the long-term perspective when you are networking too. To reflect on my career at Cornerstone Recruitment, when I set up the business in 2019, we started with 4 people. We had a very dark office. And like I mentioned before, we had no resources. We had no clients, no candidates, nothing, just, you know, just new laptops, but that's about it. But because of my previous experience, having built a network over a year and a half time before that, and from doing my job well and being remembered for what I do, my previous clients and previous candidates were very happy to continue working with me, even though I moved to an unknown, no brand recruitment company. So there have been times where I forget to follow up. There have been times where I forget to reconnect with my network. But if I did my job well and I stood out, they remembered me and they contacted me directly asking for my support. So comparing with how I started my first job 2018 with nothing, no connections, but over 4 years down the line, my network of candidates and clients have reached a stage where instead of me reaching out for asking people, do you want a job, or asking client, can I help you fill a position, I'm actually being reached out to directly. So instead of me trying to create business, my business is being generated passively because people have started to remember my name. People know me through someone else. So really the business has started to come to me. So really when you're starting a recruitment, there's multiple ways to do it. The easiest way through friends or friends or friends or friends. There's just always someone who knows something that might add value to you. Second point is, how do you stand out? As a recruitment manager, we have to remind our staff all the time that they have to remember they need to stand out from the competitors. Recruitment industry in Japan is a very profitable business and is a very popular job because the commission is high and you don't need to speak Japanese. So there are a lot of people like me who had no skills, but I just wanted to set my foot in Japan and get work experience here, who would love to do recruitment. And because it is so profitable, there are so many other recruitment agencies out there and so many recruiters trying to talk to the same candidates as you, trying to get the same clients that you want. So you always need to leave an impression. So so how do you stand out? Multiple ways. Presentation, it's very self-explanatory, but I think you would be surprised to hear maybe that I interview a lot of people who don't make an effort. And the people who do make an effort, they are the people I remember when I interview them for myself. So whether we like to admit it or not, you want to be positively remembered for making an effort. So I'm not saying wear the most expensive clothes or get an expensive haircut, but a CEO or myself, we can tell when someone tried to look good, someone arrived on time and tried to look good, that will leave a better impression. So I know, even myself, I like to come to the office. I don't want to wear a suit every day. Sometimes I want to wear, sneakers, jeans, t-shirt, and that's fine. But leaving a first good impression, it really is truly something that works. Another thing, when you are approaching somebody, depending on the setting of when you're meeting someone, really something that makes someone remember you if you have a common ground. So when I say common ground is for example, or do you have same interest? Are you from the same city? Are you interested in sports? Did you both watch the same game last week? So enthusiasm and finding a common ground, even when you're just saying hi, or how do you know the host? Or, oh, hi, nice to see you here. Do you come here often? Oh, where are you from? Oh, yeah, I'm from there too. And people will remember, oh, yeah, I remember this girl. We're from the same city. So even if they don't remember you by name, they might remember you because you have something in common. So when you're approaching someone, presenting yourself, trying to make small talk, that is really effective. You might also, of course, make sure when you approach someone who's extremely busy, you want to have a reason as to why are you approaching this person? Why are you talking to me, and why should I talk to you? And what are you also presenting or representing? So it could be something very simple, like you're trying to reach a CEO, and he has about two minutes of free time to spend with you. And it's something just as simple as, I just wanted to say hi because I like to stay connected in the industry in case someone needs support in their job search. My name is Games and I'm a senior manager at a Cornerstone Recruitment Japan, which is a startup recruitment firm near Tokyo Station. Something as simple as that, because the reality is that not everybody does that. So you will stand out when comparing to other people who don't ever introduce themselves or even dare to give a quick introduction. And it can be something else simple like, hi, I'm graduating this year. I've always had an interest in working in your company. So I just wanted to say hi. My name is blah, blah, blah. It's nice to see you here. That's all. And they might be like, oh, that is nice if someone has the guts to come up just like that and speaking to strangers. Secondly, I really highly recommend that you follow up and repeat. Don't ever assume everyone you meet will remember you the first time. You will be meeting people. If you go to maybe like recruitment conventions, recruiters will be speaking to 50, 100 people on the same day. Don't assume they will remember you, even if they say, even if you think you had a good conversation, and even if they say they will contact you later, because the reality is they might not, because they've spoken with 50 other students. So repetition, following up really works. As a recruiter, you will be working with clients who are working with 10 other agencies, and they might be speaking with them every single day, getting asked exactly the same questions. So you actually don't stand out that much when you are sending a single email or a single phone call. And maybe you will get 0 replies. You send an email and they say, we'll get back to you, but actually they don't. It's just a generic answer. But after the second or third email, you might get a reply, and it might be a very productive reply, and they want to speak to you again. Hey, thanks for following up so many times. Yes, we need support, yada, yada, yada. So there is of course a risk that you might look persistent and you might even look annoying, but from my perspective as recruiter, I would rather have a productive reply after sending 3 emails than no replies after sending 1. Additionally, they, whoever you're trying to reach might actually appreciate that you kept them in mind and that you followed up. So they might actually appreciate that you made the efforts. Third point is you want to focus on connecting with the right people too. As a recruiter, we definitely want to connect with people who are decision makers. So decision makers are people who actually want to hire for their team. So they actually make the decisions on, who they want to hire. They listen to our advice more, they give us feedback faster, and they give us more information. So when you're applying for jobs, you might want to think, are you sending your resume to, a junior level recruiter, or are you sending your resume to the CEO? Because that might actually give you a different result, and they might not respond to you, but at the same time, what have you got to lose if you try to connect with someone higher up? And I don't think anyone will feel insulted or annoyed by you making an effort in wanting to join a company, for example. Or simply, connect with your friend and ask your friend if there's, if they have a name of someone you should reach out to. Lastly, communication skills. To stand out, you need strong communication skills. Everybody knows this, I'm sure, but when you're going for interviews, realistically, who's the interviewer going to proceed with? Is it going to be the quiet person who doesn't ask any questions, or is it going to be someone who speaks with assertiveness, someone who asks a lot of questions, or someone who seems to have studied or knows information? Likewise, communication skills also include being a good listener. So that also connects to, again, finding a common ground too. So while you communicate, listen to the details, and maybe you also find a common ground to connect with that person on that stage. So a questionable argument is also if flattery gets you anywhere. When I interview candidates to join my team, I don't always respond positively to flattery, but I do respond positively if the person I'm talking to understands the job, understands what I do, understands the company. So it's not necessarily flattery, but having some sense of what you're talking about and who you're talking to might also go a long way. So last point, sorry guys, I'm trying to rush as we're running out of time. But lastly, how does networking benefit you outside of your studies or work? The obvious answer to how it benefits you in work or studies is because you open doors to advance your career. You find information about job openings, inside information about organizations, getting more answers to your questions, and basically it's increasing the strength of your connections. But outside of that, there's multiple benefits outside of work that adds to your private life. So your confidence will be increased. The more you get out there, the more you get used to talking to strangers, the more you get used to selling yourself or putting yourself out there and showing that, hey, like I'm this and that, and I think we should stay connected. Who knows what might happen in the future? So your communication skills will improve and your confidence will come with time. You also get inspiration, knowledge and motivation. You might be inspired hearing somebody's story, or you might on the other hand, you might also have had doubts about something and realize, hey, I had my doubts. Now I know how it might be like, so maybe I will not pursue it anymore. So all knowledge, good or bad. You also gain access to information that is not publicly available. So speaking to, hiring managers or whatever, or someone who used to work at a company that you wanted to apply to, they might give you inside information that you cannot see on any websites or any job boards. And lastly, gaining visibility. So the more you connect with people, the more people see you. So if you're on LinkedIn a lot and you see someone who posts anything and they get 10,000 likes, it's because they have put so much effort into connecting with a bunch of people. So now they even have their own brand and they can do marketing. So once it takes time, the beginning is extremely slow, but once you've made a connection, suddenly, without doing anything, people will start coming to you. So you've already built an image on the market. So gaining visibility is really important if you want to stand out from others. So in conclusion, a summary of my career and how I was able to build a company. I had a network already, which I was able to utilize because people wanted to keep working with me, even though I set up a startup business that had nothing to offer. But trust in me being able to do my work and trust that I knew what I was doing. So I'm not saying that just building relationships is the secret to my success, but it definitely has been a valuable tool, and I think anyone with strong interpersonal skills can make it. I don't want you to take my advice to an extreme level. So I don't want this presentation to lead to other people using people as a stepping stone, but I hope some of my suggestions will be valuable for you when you get out there and try to advance in your careers. So in conclusion, what I want to say is, building relationships and networking is not necessarily a skill that you learn through your studies, but it is a skill that you can learn in life. It is very cliche, but it's not always what you know, but it is who you know, and anyone that you meet along the line, in your life may bring value to you, whether it's on a personal or professional level. So I hope that's something you can think of as you get out there. And that's about it for my presentation. So please, if we have time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We're super humbled and inspired today by the wealth of knowledge you just gave us. Ms. Games, we are really, really thankful. Now, we're opening the floor now for the Q&A session. So participants, please do not waste this opportunity. For anyone that wants some more insights into networking, you want to do some networking yourself here, you want to start asking questions or anything, please see this opportunity. So it's open now, any Q&A. Right away with Roy, go right ahead.
Hello, Ms. Games. I just wanted to ask about the not so obvious struggles about working as a networker. What are the not so obvious problems actually, like that you were surprised to find out about, and you think most beginner recruiters actually stumble across this problem?
So it was not really a surprise to me, but it might be a surprise to you if you start this field of work. As I mentioned before, recruitment is a saturated market, meaning that there are so many recruiters out there. So you have to imagine that if you're trying to approach someone, they deal with a lot of people. They have answered the same questions to 50 other recruiters. So what you need to be prepared for, and the challenge you're going to face, is that you will be ignored a lot. You will be ignored a lot, especially if you send emails. You need to have, as I mentioned, confidence comes with time. So it's not you speak to the first person and you get results. Maybe you have to speak to 10 people before you get someone who wants to spend time with you, or maybe even 50 people before you get a job that you can work on. So it's not as easy as it sounds just to go up to someone and be like, hey, my name is Games. I'm working as an IT recruiter at Cornerstone Recruitment Japan. How can I, let's connect, let's go for coffee. Sometimes it's not as easy as it sounds, but I think the start is really rough until people start to get to know you. And once people know you, they will know someone who also wants to get to know you. You know what I mean? So definitely you have to deal with a lot of people who don't initially see the value in speaking to you in the beginning.
Understand. That makes a lot of sense. So it's very refreshing perspective. Thank you very much, Ms. Games.
I'm going to ask Hanif, I believe, if I'm saying that right. Please ask your question.
Yes, that's correct. You can call me Irshad. I do have a question regarding the point you brought up earlier about when it comes to creating a first impression. So you said sometimes you only have, like, let's say 3 minutes to introduce ourselves and to connect with another person. And then through that, you're able to create a second meeting. But I'd like to ask, so what are the points that you should keep in mind when it comes to creating a good first impression? Because sometimes there's not a lot of time we could discuss with them. So what are, like, the main points you should go through?
Well, this is, again, it's a people's business. So everybody will react differently to how you introduce yourself. I have to interview, just from my perspective, I have to interview candidates too who want to work here at Cornerstone. So the people stand out to me depending on the way they speak, if the language is clear, There's not a lot of, basically the body language is important too. The body language, your posture, the way you carry yourself, the language you use, the tone of your voice really makes a difference. Of course, like I mentioned before, how you present yourself makes a difference as well. There are some people who reciprocate very well if you have a sense of humor. I don't know if you want to joke about something that you saw recently, or even if you want to go as far as just mention something that happened in your private life or whatever. I feel like a lot of people respond positively to someone who is a little bit more casual but still professional. So if you are too professional, you might come off as really stiff as well. So it's hard to give a real, there's no real answer to that, how to stand out, but there's definitely ways to think of how you can do it. But from my experience, when I interview a lot of people, I really, really like communication skills, those who seem prepared and those who have things to say.
I see. Thank you. That was very insightful. So it's more of a feeling thing rather than something practical.
Yeah. So it's not necessary about practical. The only practical thing is, if you're meeting someone, be on time, and just look well presented and look like you've got, if it's really humid outside and you come in and you're extremely sweaty, they might be like, oh my God, what happened to this person? So not really practical, but it's really kind of adjusting the soft skills to the person you're speaking to.
I actually have a question here. I just want to ask, is there like a cliche opening that you hear that like immediately kind of makes you like shut down ever? It's just like that you hear, you're like, oh, come on.
Yeah, we don't get it very often. I actually like the very normal openings. Just the simple hellos works for me. But something cliche would be if someone emails me and the subject says something like, "I'm your next hire." That is so cliche. It's funny. It really makes me laugh, but it also makes me think, oh, like, oh, are you? So I respond positively, but I also respond with doubts too. So it's a bit of both. I'm your next person. I'm your next superstar. I'm your next top biller. Things like that. I don't know. I don't know about that.
Bit too confident, they have to have something to back it up, right?
Yeah, exactly. I like, this is a subjective thing. I like to see people who are, very human, very humble, very smart, motivated. It doesn't have to be someone who really, really, really wants to put themselves out there, but someone who's really, really well presented and knows their limits, but also knows their strengths and how they want to get better.
Thank you. You really made that like small questions that I could actually learn from a lot. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions? If you'd rather not just speak, you could type it in chat. That's perfectly okay too. If not, then well, that's all for the Q&A for now. Mr. Games, oh, sorry, bro, you have a question.
Sorry, just another question. I know it's horrible for me to take this opportunity away from the participants, and what can I say? I'm a bit greedy. This is an excellent opportunity, and maybe you have a lot of the answers that I'm hoping to also know. Yes, so if you'd please excuse my greed. Yes, I'd like to know, when working in Japan and getting to know clients, have you ever faced any challenges with, let's say, and I'm also assuming that some of your clients are also international, right? They come from different countries. Do you make it an effort to, let's say, study some cultural norms to kind of gain an edge that maybe other recruiters maybe don't have? Is that something that you invest time in?
So, knowing about the cultural norms in Japan, I knew that from before because of my my degree. So I knew what to expect when it comes to, the cultural nuances and the difficulties with like aging population or whatever. But it definitely is of value to you if you do understand the cultural norms here when you're dealing with clients who are not Japanese, because they might not know as much as you do. So they might get confused as to why are there not that many Japanese people who are looking for a job. Well, the reason is, one, for example, they're not risk takers, or they want stability, or they're afraid to go to an unknown company, etc. So it's really good to know that. With my own team, I don't expect any new joiners to be as knowledgeable as me because I'm teaching them as they go. But definitely, if you can educate your clients without stepping on anyone's toes, that might also open doors for you to be able to find a suitable candidate, because the more demands the clients have and the more you know how impossible it is, you need to step in and be like, hey, this is not how Japan works. So definitely, if you understand the culture of Japan, you are able to give advice to your clients that other recruiters might not have. Especially, there are clients who might feel a bit uncomfortable or doubtful that can they work with an American recruiter who's never done recruitment in Japan before. So let's say there's a new grad, maybe you studying at Jamaica or whatever, but actually you're from the United States and you haven't really put that much effort. I mean, not effort, but you haven't focused on Japanese cultural studies in university. So maybe a client will think, I mean, you're American. What do you know about Japan market? So, but if you do have the knowledge, you can always push back and be like, hey, this is how Japan works. This is why it's going to be difficult. This is what I advise. What do you think? So definitely, if you understand the cultural nuances here in Japan and are able to advise your clients, they will be easier to work with, and they will appreciate that you let them know too.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ms. Games. You just actually solved kind of long-term anxiety I've always kind of had, like what if I start working in Japan and this problem happens. So thank you very much for the excellent answer.
No problem.
Okay, we have a question from Rizani.
All right. Hello, Ms. Games.
Hello.
I have heard from my friends and that you work in the IT division in Cornerstone, I believe. So for yourself and for the people you manage, how much knowledge of the industry is actually essential, especially like for a new grad? Or do you think that you can impart knowledge enough so that even someone who doesn't even know about IT can learn and deal with clients in that industry?
So my background in IT recruitment is really unique. So when I did recruitment, started my recruitment career, I actually did back office recruitment. So I did recruitment mostly for Japanese women who were looking for jobs in like administrative area. So basically, secretaries, customer service, administrative assistants, office managers, and so on. When I moved to IT recruitment at Cornerstone, that happened because of the pandemic. Because when the pandemic hit the market, back office jobs were not hiring anymore. So there was no jobs for me to work on. So I moved to IT because I knew IT is a good market that is always open. So when I started my career in IT recruitment, because we were a startup, I didn't have anyone teaching me IT. I am not from a technical background. I've never done development. I can do, simple troubleshooting on my computer, but I am completely self-taught. So I just use Google. I mimic the words that candidates and clients use, and I learn from making mistakes. But I knew recruitment because I already had done recruitment for a year and a half. So the recruitment techniques and the processes are nearly identical. The only difference is that you will be using vocab and looking at jobs that you don't really understand because you're not an engineer. But the recruitment processes are all the same. So to answer your question, you don't actually need to know IT or have a degree or study deeply about IT when you work in recruitment. But along the way, once your knowledge increases, it will be easier for you to identify the right candidates and the right jobs to work on. So now that I've done it for 2.5 years, I'm able to teach my consultants, like, this is what that means, this is what this means, this is the words you should look at. But when I started, I had no idea. So I really would do recruitment as normal, but I would sit at my desk with my boss next to me and be like, okay, software engineer, agile coach, what does that mean? I don't know. I would Google it all the time. So, but I was successful. So if you don't know IT recruitment, there is a learning curve. You have to spend more time learning about it than in other industries. But if you're willing to do that, you don't need to come from an IT background.
All right, thank you so much. Can I ask a follow-up if you don't mind?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think you've said that you've been in the recruitment industry for like 3 years, including Cornerstone and your previous experiences, right? Or more?
For a little bit more than 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very long time. So do you ever find that it's repetitive or you get bored or there's like a lack of excitement? Because I know that the process for some people can be repetitive. So I'm just trying to inquire.
For me, it's not repetitive at all. I do admit that in my previous work, when I was doing back office recruitment, I felt that was repetitive because back office recruitment, the jobs remains always the same. Administrative work in any company is exactly the same. Customer service is very generic, could be done in multiple companies. The only thing that was different in the areas I was working before is that I just had to learn about the company information, but the jobs were always the same. Whereas in recruitment, in IT recruitment, the market is always evolving. Technology is always evolving. Engineers from 10 years ago are not the same engineers that you get now. New grads who are doing computer science, they are learning different skills than they did 5 years ago. So the requirements changes over time. Startups come all the time. Companies from the US come all the time, or Singapore. So if you work in IT, because it is a growing market and Tokyo is such a popular hub in APAC, I never feel like I'm not learning. So that was my problem with back office. After a year and a half, I felt like, is there anything else for me to learn apart from maybe management skills or whatever, or selling different things? But in IT, I don't feel that it's routine. And recruitment in general is not a routine job because you will get meetings sometimes unscheduled, or you'll get unexpected circumstances to deal with, or candidates who are like, hey, can we talk now? And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. So I don't have a single day that is exactly the same as the day before, except maybe my Mondays where I do, one-on-one meetings with my individual team members. But other than that, every day is different. The way we do recruitment here at Cornerstone as well, we like to celebrate a lot, celebrate success, de-stress. So even outside of the recruitment job, we try to make sure our staff is happy. So definitely, recruitment is really the opposite of a routine work.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Any little cheeky questions which you might be really wanting to ask right now?
Don't try to tempt me, Elliot. I know what you're doing. If you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask her.
Well, I mean, I do have a little question actually. So you were saying how it's more who you know than what you know, as you said at the end. And how much to a certain degree is that true?
So if we put it into perspective of servicing clients, there's going to be clients who don't value as much until you provide results. So that is not who you know, but it's what you can do, right? So that's what the what. So there are going to be clients who work with 10, 20 other agencies, and you're going to tell them, I can do this, I can do that, I'm really good at my job, but they'll be like, I don't believe you until you show it to me. So that is, it's not who you know, but it's what you can do, right? And then you will get results out of that. But let's say earning their trust and providing results, then they start to get to know you, and then maybe they will refer you to someone else who might also need jobs, because HR people in Japan are very well connected. So one HR person at like Rakuten might know another HR person at Mercari, for example, and maybe they'll be like, hey, I've been working with this girl at Rakuten, she's doing a really good job. I think you should get her on board to work with you as as an agent. So it's like a circle kind of thing, where if you can provide good results, then you might be referred to someone else. So that also links to it's who you know. When I got invited to join Cornerstone, it was partly who I knew, but also partly my results. So I did my job really well. My first company, I was out of any company drama. I was really performance-based, very focused person. And of course, I mean, I hope people think I'm friendly as well. I try to be. So I already did a really good job, and I was not necessarily well connected with the managing director, but I was sitting close enough. I was coincidentally sitting very close to his desk. So he could hear me, he could see me, he could see what I was doing, he could see the result on the revenue. And I think as a result of that, because he kind of knew like what I could do, which is why I got invited to join Cornerstone. So if by coincidence, if I had sat at the very, very, very far back of the office, maybe he would never know the style of how I work. So, and when it comes to it's who you know, it really is true. I'm not saying skills, I'm not saying it's who you know is above skills, but it contributes to expanding your network, right? And I have helped candidates get jobs before, and they refer me to people. So on their end, it's okay, I know this person, you should talk to Games or whatever, she can help you. So it really, I mean, it is really is, it gets to that, it's who you know, or if you did a good job, like I mentioned, or you're a good student, or like, you have really good grades, someone be like, hey, I know this guy, he's really good at maths, talk to him, ask him questions. So there is, of course, a balance between skills and who you know, but really who you knows might be really valuable if you don't really have the skills too, or if you think that you might not have skills, but someone might know your personality, and they think, hey, this is a really, really energetic person, I think you'll like him.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So it's more of a mixture of both.
Yeah,
but mainly networking.
Yeah. For in recruitment, networking brings you candidates, and networking brings you clients, and candidates will refer candidates, clients will refer clients. So in recruitment, networking is really, really huge portion of the job, and definitely it's who you know might go a long way.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So is that it for the Q&A? Yes. Okay, well, Ms. Games, we understand that you have a very busy schedule, so thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you too. I'm sorry, I thought I only had 30 minutes, so I was speeding the speech as much as I could, because I thought I had to leave for, just 5 minutes for Q&A, so I apologize, but I hope I was helpful.
It was perfect. Thank you very much. And thank you once again for providing us with a wonderful learning experience today.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
And thank you everyone else as well for your attention. We hope that you all learned a lot. And also, in order for us to continue improving our academic sessions, we'd like to request that everyone please fill out the feedback form that is currently being sent in the Zoom chat. And we wish everyone a fantastic day today.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was an excellent session. Thank you very much, Ms. Games,